Which should you buy? You should probably buy both. You know, I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what you buy. All real estate is good. There is no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. Don't make a bad deal, then you'll be set for life. As long as you can keep, replicating the success. Ideally, that's what you do. You can mess with that son. This one here. Anyways, you guys know I've been out here lately talking about, there's so much fake guru bullshit out there, and so many guys claiming to have experience that they don't have, making things sound probable that are highly improbable, and I just hate seeing people get jaded. I say real guru because everybody out there that I see just seems to be fake, with just very, very few exceptions. And I like putting myself out there for questions, and because most people don't scrutinize the people that they're looking at and talking to. A lot of people, I just talked to a guy named David, nice guy, smart guy, AC guy, probably going to be in the class. Again, if you're not a millionaire, if you're 30 years old and you're not a millionaire, then listen, I don't know a quicker way to get you there than real estate. And I've got many students that are getting there the same way. So look, I have the, if you want to call in, we can take a call. If you've got questions about commercial, residential, retail, apartment buildings, listen, I bought just about every kind of property you can imagine. And my students are doing the same, and my students are becoming millionaires. And I would hope for the same for you guys that are watching. But, nothing's going to happen if you keep doing the same thing or if you do nothing, right? But anyways, really it'd be great to start with a question. Anybody got a question? Anybody got any concerns? I was looking over here, and this is another one. Like I say, Brandon Turner, I think Brandon Turner is in large part a fake guru. I mean, I don't even think he's a guru. And it's because when you see things like, I went from $3 million to 11,000 doors, right? It's like I went from apples to oranges. You know what I mean? They like it ambiguous because they don't want to be specific. This is a guy that, from everything I know about him, he made a little bit of money in real estate just buying traditional ways. He's interviewed a bunch of different people in real estate, a bunch of fake gurus. I've seen him stand to some of the slimiest people I've ever seen when it comes to real estate. So it doesn't bode well when I see him say something like this one here. This is on the coffee hour here. 99% will lose money. Yeah, you know what? That's the iced coffee hour. They put that on there. But supposedly that's a quote from Brandon Turner. And it's like, what does Brandon Turner know? I don't see anything. What I have seen is he made a deal with Open Door, and a lot of people are very, very unhappy with their investment in Open Door, falling 40% short on anticipated earnings. That's not a professional. That's not a professional by any means whatsoever. So anyways, also I noticed over here, Ken McElroy. Ken is another guy. Here he's with Pace Morby. Pace Morby, I don't think knows anything about real estate. And I've really never seen him talk straight with anybody about anything. That's a guy that claims to be the $4 million, $450 million in real estate, but nobody is smart enough in the room to ask him, what's your equity? Is there any equity? Because all he talks about is zero equity deals and taking loans that or sometimes the property's underwater. And people that are an advocate of that are foolish. So, and his defenders are even the dumbest of the dumb. So I don't know. Anybody out there got any thoughts? Anybody out there sincerely want to make money in real estate? I'd be happy to take any questions. I really wish somebody would come up with some really tough questions, but I don't think you have any tough ones. Because I'm not misleading. Everything I'm telling you is from experience. Hey, by the way, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you want to learn about real estate, you can learn a lot right here. If you get in I got a webinar coming this Thursday. Where's the webinar? The webinar right here. That's 7 p.m. this Thursday. And this is probably the last chance to get in for a while because of spring break. Also, I've got a daughter getting married. I've got 4 kids, all adults. all doing fantastic. Very proud of them all. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things I really want for you fathers out there. Young fathers. I got young people in my class. See, son. We're from whatever, late 20s on up to 60s. But it's really cool because these guys that are 30, 40 years old with children, or 50 years old with children, they're going to be able to teach their kids how to make money in real estate. Even my son, just in the short time that he's been selling real estate, as an adult, and I mean wheeling and dealing, he's got a chunk of money in the bank, he's got a pickup brand new, paid cash, and that's the kind of stuff that we all want for our kids, right? And even for my students, my students in my class, they're getting richer faster than I did when I was their age. And the reason is because they actually have some good guidance. And in fact, let me just look here. So anybody got a question? You got a property problem? I'd love to hear about it. Love to help you with it. Just shoot. Anything you want to talk about, I'm always game. But until somebody asks a question, I'm not sure what I can do for you. But you can go to flipanythingusa.com. I'll show you this right here. In the meantime, I'm going to move this call sign. Anybody want to call? There, just give me a call. There it is right there. And that's the thing when you have a real mentor, is you have access to them. What good is a mentor that you can't contact when you need them, right? When you need an answer, or when you need some help, or when you got something that's you don't know what to do. That's why my students are so freaking successful. And let me just show you some of these, because it just never gets old. You go to my success page, and I urge you to look at my success page. Go look at Pace Morby, Chris Croner, anybody of these guys that claim to have real estate expertise. By far and away, it's not even close. It's not even close. The people in my class are becoming multi-millionaires, okay? This gentleman here, over $2 million on a single deal. He's made over $1 million. This one's made over $1 million. This one, only in 2 years, he's probably made about $500,000. And, it can happen very quickly. It can happen very quickly. But it only happens if you get started. That's the other people. Oh, hey, somebody's called in. I appreciate that caller. Let me take this call. And please, somebody come in behind this guy, and we'll stack them up. And, you should ask questions. Caller, can you hear me? Can you hear me or no? I can barely hear you. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can barely hear you anyway, so I'm starting to wonder if I'm even going to be able to do this with the Bluetooth here. Hang on. I know what's going on here. Bear with me, everybody. Who's calling, by the way?
It's joined on February 28th from North Dakota.
I'm sorry, you joined already?
Yes, North Dakota. Mike.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mike Hewlin. Okay, great. Yeah, Mike, the truck driver, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Well, that's okay, Mike. Real quick, I've been, awesome. So Mike's a new student, and he was very, very cautious before you came in. You did your background check, right? I remember you were in several webinars before you decided to pull the trigger, and
yes.
And also Mike was very kind. He sent me a beautiful silver dollar, right? It's a what do you call that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Morgan.
A Morgan silver dollar.
A Morgan silver dollar.
Yeah, it's a beautiful coin. I appreciate the gesture. It's very nice. I got it sitting in my bar, actually. So, yeah. But anyways, so Mike, real quick, and anybody else want to call in, please do. I'm looking for real estate problems here tonight, or anybody interested in residential, commercial, or how to convert from one to the other. That's always a good topic. But Mike, you've been in the class here a few weeks. I see your progress, as you know. And how do you feel so far about the education you're getting?
Well, I was very cautious, like you said. I covered a lot of people, and you were the best. You were the most qualified. So I went with you, and since I started listening, it's been I know zero about real estate, but this has been a universe of fascinating information, actually. I mean, just little tricks you can do that can create a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the thing is I try to get everybody to see real estate through my eyes. And all my students have come in, not everyone, some of them, I've got guys that have been doing real estate for 30, 40 years, and they get in my class and say, Tom, I had no idea there was so much more to know than I knew. And that's why I have such confidence when it comes to this sort of thing, because I already know. And anyways, I'm glad to have you in here, Mike, and in the class. And just keep plugging away, and pretty soon you'll be like the guys that you see in the mentorship that have made $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, and like I say, it's a beautiful thing. So, anyways, I'm going to cut you loose here. I got another caller coming in, but I appreciate you calling in, Mike.
Okay.
Unless you got a question specific, but
well, I do actually. Usually, when I get on the internet, I'll be quick. When I get on the internet, I just missed your program, and I'm wondering, is there some sort of alert system that lets me know when you're live?
There's a bell somewhere up there that you can click the bell, and it'll notify you when I go live. But I am, but it's on. Just look at your YouTube and look at there for notifications. Click on notifications, and you'll get.
I have that on, but it must not be functioning.
I don't know. There's nothing I can do about that one. I don't know. I once in a while somebody will say that. But I don't know why. But
oh, okay. Well, then you have another caller, so I'll let you go, Tom.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Oh, that caller just popped off too. Anyways, feel free to call back in, caller who just was on. Look, what do you guys? I don't know what you guys are interested in. I'm looking at industrial property right now. I'm kind of looking in the Houston area, and I love industrial property. And one of the things I teach students in the class is to be open to really all real estate, right? And some of my most successful students have been making money on land, houses, and then rolling the money that they make on houses and land into commercial real estate. Offices, and let me tell you, that's what I hold on to. I just finished with somebody that's I think is going to join the class here, and I take time to talk to anybody that's truly interested. I don't like talking to people that just have a passing whim. And that's why I like really people that are over 30. And you start to have a kid, you start to realize, oh shit, $1 million ain't enough. And you start to do the math on how much you've made in the last 10 years, and you look how many more decades you plan on working. And you start to realize, shit, I don't have enough money. I'm not going to have enough money to retire comfortably, put the kids through school, maybe, see the world, or whatever your goals are, own an airplane, buy a helicopter, buy a yacht, whatever those things are that you like to do. And, but you got to want it, you got to have a passion for it. And, and that's why, what's so cool is the community that I've created by opening up my class is I've got a community of people that are just like me, people that want to make money, people that are, very, very, or people that already are making money, but they want to learn how to make more money. Maybe they want to get into industrial retail. And I'm looking at industrial retail right now as I talk to you, because let's take a look at this stuff. So I'm in LoopNet, and, I'm looking at a building right now. And let me just tell you guys about some of the things that you might, you anticipate, and people like to know what goes through my mind on different things. So I can tell you I've got a property right now that in an area that's a very hot, booming area for reasons. I'm going to be a little bit cryptic here, but it has a very, very big electronics company that it's expanding by about 1 million square feet. And so when you get a big company that builds 1 million square feet, there's probably going to be that much or more square footage need of like-kind buildings for the subcontractors that do work that provide. I'll give you an example. In Boise, Idaho, my brother is a powder coat. He has a powder coat company, and so he powder coats all kinds of stuff for Micron, right? And that's not unusual. Small companies like that are all over and all around companies that do computers and that kinds of parts manufacturing, especially when they're a big company. They make whatever that Apple computer not far from me where I'm at right now. And it was huge. You know, it was a big outfit. I think they bought $75 million worth of machine equipment, and actually I got on the tail end of buying some of the used stuff. But so, you know, what you got to think about is, so I got an opportunity in an area that is booming and is growing. Well, there's a town that's a little bit outside of there that it's kind of iffy whether it's going to get too much of the benefit. It will get a little bit of a benefit from it, but the issue is I found a building that I could buy that actually has a very good return on it. And I have I got 3 or 4 residential homes that I have in one entity that they're about ripe. I call it ripe for selling. And believe me, each time I bought each of those property, I made, you know, $100,000 on each of those. And do I think I can sell them for a little bit more in a year from now than I can today? Yeah, I do. But the only thing that's keeping me from selling them right now is I need to have a better deal to roll the 3 houses into. That's my criteria for buying something new. It's not, oh, gee, I'm scared. Oh, property's too crazy right now. Or, oh, it's too hot a market. And believe me, when you hear people saying, oh, no, it's too hot, the market's too hot, oh, the market's too slow. I mean, if you use that logic that the market's too hot or the market's too slow, you're never going to buy anything. Okay, because whenever the market gets hot, there's some opportunities. When the market's down, guess what? There's some awesome opportunities in a down market. It doesn't matter to me whether things are up or down. It really doesn't. And when I hear people that talk about it, in fact, I'll just talk about here, that Brandon Turner. I'm not a big fan of Brandon Turner. I just don't think he's completely honest. Listen, I see him promoting another guy named Cam Carthart or something like that. I don't know, Cam. Anyways, and it's like, why would you promote somebody else if you know what you're doing? If you have a product, I mean, people that say they have expertise in real estate, I look at them, and with very few exceptions, most of them are just full of shit, and they don't have anything to point to show that they have the credibility of doing what they're doing. And Brandon kind of fits that a little bit. I hate to say it, Brandon. I'll have you on my show. We can talk about it. But what I see is, you know, you like Morby. I just see serial exaggerations and you know, exaggerating claims of probabilities that just aren't there. And so that's why like I say, I'm not somebody that's a backslapper. And like I say, when you see him on here, and I got nothing against the guys that are hosting him here on, what are these guys called? Coffee Hour?
Canadian foreign closest trade war. The U.S.'s first Canadian Foreign Minister, Melanie.
I guess
see that happening. They can try to find a creative way to get more people into homes like
these guys.
Knew the deal was going. You don't buy a $400,000. You don't buy.
Can't think of his name.
And then you live in one unit, rent the other ones out.
Well, I have
The lowest level of transactions in 29 years.
So starting from zero with no connections whatsoever.
So look, yeah, like this guy was a realtor. And he's made some investment, and he did, you know, for how he started and where he began, he did a pretty good job. I'm not going to knock him, but he's a YouTuber. He doesn't know how to make money in real estate. He knows how to make money on YouTube, okay, and that's fine. And I don't think he even pretends to know money about knowing how to make money in real estate. But he has somebody on here that is, you know, 99% will lose money. Brandon Turner's shocking prediction of the 2025,000. You know, so look, I don't even see how that they've tested this guy, or even, you know what I mean. It's almost like they're talking to him like he's a given expert. Where I immediately question his expertise. It's like, why? Why does anybody think this guy knows what he's doing? I haven't seen one thing to shore that up, not even a little bit. Dimitri wrote, the biggest expertise is to understand that you need a really good deal. Yeah, well, that's exactly part of it for sure. But you need to have a history, right? You know, I've been doing this for almost 4.5 decades, 44 years. And so, you know, when you buy, you know, this much property, okay, and this is just a fraction of the properties that I've purchased over my lifetime, but most of these I still hold and own, you know, and we've got buildings I've made $1.5 million on, others I've made more, you know, apartment buildings. People want to know about apartment buildings. I can talk all about apartments. I own the 3 buildings that you see in this image right here, right? And I've made millions of dollars on those buildings. And that's the kind of stuff that you won't see fake gurus do. They can't do what I'm doing right now. They can't do this. They can't say I can walk to tens of millions of dollars of property within an hour of where I'm sitting, okay? They can't show you the things that they've done and made. And so what they do is they bring on guests and they talk to other fake gurus, and then they have this love fest between them. And then the people get caught up thinking, oh, Brandon's great. Oh, Pace is great. But guess what? They're not great. They didn't show you shit. All they did was pat each other on the back and talked about real estate. It means zero. It means nothing. And so when I see these guys, and these are nice guys, got nothing against these guys, but again, they don't. Yeah, Brandon is a talk show host, exactly. And you don't talk to a talk show host for real estate expertise. It's silly. So anyways, it's like, what is Brandon basing this on? He's basing it on, he's talked to a lot of people. Okay, give me a break. That's nothing. And so anyway, we could watch a part of this, but I don't even know how long it is. And it would be a borathon. There's 2 hours here. Forget it. There's no way. I could barely stand 15 minutes. Anyways, anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything to say? Pace Marby is now giving personal loans to people who are in financial difficulty. I did not know you are allowed to just do that. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Anyways, but whatever. Maybe that's something he's good at. I don't know. But what I would say is like I say, you should be able to have a history to throw back on. It takes a long time for people to get in the mentorship. It's not like a course. It would be impossible to write a course that has everything in my head that I know about, that I've experienced, because a mentorship is completely different. People would ask me, do you ever own a trailer park? And I'm like, no, I never have. And then I go, oh yeah, you know what? I forgot. Back in 1995, I bought a trailer park. I forgot. And that's the thing is when you've been doing things so long, you can actually forget more than other people even know. And that's just a truth. And that's actually an old saying. Ironwood wrote, a lot of people want to invest in real estate but can't afford it. So these gurus step in to sell them what they can afford, which is, of course, yeah. And that's the truth. And that's the truth. Is the people with the least amount of money are the easiest to take advantage of. And that's why people that don't have any money, I usually just say, hey, look, watch the free stuff, get my book. My book's only $20. Make some money with my book, and then you can join the mentorship. I won't let anybody in my class that doesn't have, at least $20,000, $30,000, okay? I mean, and that's, you got to be young. If you tell me you have only $20,000, $30,000 and, you're 40 years old, I'm going to think, why do you have so little? You know what I mean? In other words, I'm looking for people that have discipline and save, and, maybe people that have some talent doing something, their job, whatever. I'm looking for people that actually have money, that want to invest money for themselves. I don't want your money. I don't need your money to invest. But I'm talking about people that want to make a better life for themselves, for their kids, for their wife, all that sort of thing. Let's see. Oh, God, let's see. When buying commercial industrial, do you consider Class C properties that need a lot of renovations, or Class A turnkey property? Well, listen, first of all, Class C property could be perfectly good condition. So I don't know why you assume a Class C property is in bad shape. There's Class C and there's Class A, and really they could both be in fantastic shape. It's just kind of the neighborhood and maybe the age of the building, and/or look, I just did a video where I'm trying to educate the idiotic assessors, the tax assessors. I fight tax assessors all the time. It's too big a part of my life, to be quite honest, because you get tax assessors, and some are great, some are good people, but some just don't know what the hell they're doing. And so then what you got to do is you got to take it to court or take it to arbitration, and then you have a pissing contest in front of an arbitrator, and then he decides who's smarter and who's right. And I love those conditions, right? Because I know I'm right. I wouldn't take it that far if I didn't know. Dimitri wrote, you don't really need to afford anything. I just double closed on a deal and made 90 grand. Well, yeah, well, that's, I don't know, but Dimitri, congrats. That's pretty good. You didn't even put up an earnest money deposit. That's rare, okay? And I can tell you, and I'm not going to doubt that you did that, but the probabilities of that happening are very, very low. And I know I've done hundreds of deals and made tens of millions of dollars on the deals that I have done. And so, and I'm careful not to represent. And believe me, I've had some really easy money. I bought properties for 20 cents on the dollar, made hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars on the single deals. Now, I don't represent those as probable, right? It would be disingenuous if I represented those as being probable. No, what I can represent as probable is making $100,000 in property. That's actually quite easy to do, and something I do and my students do often. But I wouldn't, and I have students that have made over $1 million on a single piece of property. Is it probable? No. If you're doing it long enough, I would say it is probable if you do it long enough. But you're going to have a lot of singles where you make, 100 grand or 50 grand or something like that. That's, those are what I call singles and doubles. And you'll hit a lot of singles and doubles, and once in a while, the stars will align, and you'll hit a grand slam. And it does happen, and it's happened for a few of my students, or several of my students, I'd say. Some have made $1 million or $800,000 or a couple $1 million on a single deal, and that's a wonderful thing. And really, does anybody want to call in? I mean, anybody got a question? Does anybody want to talk? Really, loosen up and take a chance here and talk. Talk about what you're afraid of. Talk about how much, call in anonymously and, say how much money you got in your bank account and what your concerns are, or tell me a little bit about the area you're in, and I'll try to help you. I can tell you, I get paid for calls. I have a consultation service too, but I'm telling you, you can talk to me for free right now. So he wrote, I did have hundreds of deals, reps, so you are correct. Did not have the skills. Yep. Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah. And so, this is the thing. The beauty of mentorship, I'm telling you, I got to get these guys off here. The beauty of mentorship is like if you've ever, what was that Slumdog Millionaire or whatever that show was? That was a movie. But where they could call if they could have a lifeline, a certain amount of lifelines of the questions they had, and they could call somebody that they thought would have the answer, so they could use that. Well, that's what a mentor is. It's a lifeline. It's like, hey, what should I do? Oh, you might have to file a temporary restraining order. Oh, what's a temporary restraining order? Well, this is what a temporary restraining order. Well, why would you do that? Well, it could come in handy in the situation we're in. There's just all kinds of things like that are going to be not even going to come to the mind of somebody else who's never had to do it. And the only reason it comes to my mind is because over decades of doing it, maybe I've only done it once, maybe I've only done it 3 times, but I've done it. And that's what matters, is you got to have somebody that's been there and done that. Anyways, anybody want to call in? Anybody got another question? Or anybody want to talk about, is there anybody, do you understand, like, I had a really good conversation with a guy named David today, and let me just tell you, like I say, look in the picture behind me, right? What do you see most of, right? What do you see most of in this picture, right? Right now, when I get pulled back when you pull back to this far, you see a lot of land, right? You probably see more land, vacant land, than anything. But when you come in closer, now what do you see? A little bit tighter. You see more houses. You see more houses than anything. And that's where I'm going to start you. And when you get in my mentorship, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of assess where you're at, but I'm going to concentrate you on buying local. Everything's going to be near you. Okay, everything's going to be something you could walk to. Okay, and I know you're going to cry, some of you, about, oh, well, everything's $1 million or everything's $700,000. I can't afford to buy. Yeah, good, because if you find something that you can afford in an area that you can't afford anything in, that means you're probably buying it for half of what it's worth. That's the game. Is buy shit for half of what it's worth, okay? And I've done it over and over and over. Now I bought a lot of stuff 35% of, or 70% of what it's worth, or 65% of what it's worth. But that's always the goal, is to get the greatest margin possible. And sometimes you'll get a property for half, or you get a property for 20 cents on the dollar. You can make I bought a property for $200,000, sold it for $2.8 million. Now, I'm not going to represent that as something that is common, that is, that happens all the time. It doesn't. But what does happen all the time is buying something for 10 grand and selling it for 30, buying something for 50 and selling it for 150, buying something for, a house for 200 and selling it for, 350. That is common. And like I say, I got students that have done it. And that's why this is why I'm looking for people that are looking for that kind of guidance. I'm looking for people that are action oriented, that want to do that. Hey, listen, if you don't have my book already, you should certainly get my book. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's probably the cheapest, easiest way to get your foot in the door. It'll get you excited. It could be worth $1 million to you, this book. It has been for others. And you get in the mentorship, you'll be like on steroids. You know, the book is great, and it'll get you started. And then if you can afford it and you get a mentor, then it's like I say, you'll be on steroids. It'll be fantastic. You make some money and faster than you ever can imagine, faster than you ever make going through school, college, or anything else. You know, and believe me, I have 4 kids. 2 went to college, 2 haven't. You know, who's going to make more money? Well, they're related to me, so they don't have to worry. And I've got them all investing in real estate, so it doesn't really matter. But you know, I in general, I bet money on the guys that don't go to college, right? I'm not talking about pitting my kids against each other, but I didn't go to college. Guess what? I barely finished high school. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to make money, and that's really what I want to do, is show you just how to make nothing but money, and that's what you can do. You know, and so let's just take a look, and let me just show you some of the assets that I own. Okay, look at here. That's a retail plaza, right? That's got, you know, a vape store, a tattoo shop, a bar, a restaurant. You know, over here's a food park and an office building, right? There's food trailers, food trucks. Some of you guys like that kind of stuff. You know, here this actually was a bowling alley. You know, actually now it's a very successful 3rd generation store. You know, and look at the freeway. Look where the freeway is, right? It's great to have stuff near a freeway. You know, it's just such beautiful properties. You know, like if you like industrial buildings, I love industrial properties. Houses, though, but let's just talk about that, because like I told you, I got houses everywhere, right? I bought a lot of houses, made millions and millions of dollars on houses. Well, and I rolled those into the purchases of stuff like this. See that? It was money that I made on a house that paid for this building, right? You know, that put the down payment, that bought this little school I bought. You know, I bought actually several schools. You know, and there's restaurant, there's an office building. You know, little office building like this, you know, brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You know, more income than most people make. Okay, one building. Okay, and that's just one of many buildings. And this is what is possible, and this is what, you know, you can make happen. You know, there's a beautiful building I bought. So this building here, it was a $50,000 to built property that led to a $200,000 property that led to a $2.8 million, where I made $2.5 million. It was that $2.5 million that gave me the money to buy this building, okay, and another retail center. And guess what? I made probably $600,000-700,000 the day I bought that building. I made $2 million probably the day I bought the other property. And again, I'll start with $50,000. Okay, start with $50,000. Let's see. Izzy wrote, this guy has an aura. Pretty sweet guy. You talking about me? Oh, thanks. Anyways, Ironwood Land. Tom, the model I've built for land has a bottleneck. Where to keep growing, I need to hire, but I don't want to. How many people do you have? Guess what? Yeah, that's a good question. So how many people do I have on my team? One. Just me. That's it. And now I'm teaching people to do the same. Listen, I've always been a team of one. You don't need a team. In fact, the word team's been ruined for me in big part. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to discount. I have 10 employees, right? But I'm talking about I have air conditioning guys. I have concrete guys. I have carpenters. You know, I have roofers. I have guys that I keep busy full time doing those things just to take care of the assets that I already own. But not only that, it's a nice combination. Here's the beauty when you have hundreds of thousands of square feet of property, of buildings and rentals like I do, is I can always constantly keep my guys busy. In other words, when things get slow, it's like, you know, that, like you say, that C building, you know, or, you know, let's give that C building a facelift. You know, let's give that building a facelift, you know, or something like that. Or you know what? I just bought something. We're going to renovate this. We're going to renovate this. So I can keep guys busy all the time, renovating the new properties that I buy. And if things get slow and I feel I want to keep them busy, then it's like, hey, let's go give a facelift to this building. Let's go tear this shit out and replace it. Let's go, you know, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, I do it all the time. You know, I have bobcats, skid steers. I've got front end loaders, backhoe. I sold my backhoe, but now I just kind of, if I need that stuff, I usually, in general now when I buy tools, guess what? I buy them for the people that work for me. I just say, buy it, I'll pay for it. I don't care if it's a tractor. I don't care what it is. I don't really want it anymore. I just, they work for me full time. I don't mind, giving them the money to buy something that they can utilize. They can utilize it on side jobs or whatever. I don't care. But at the same time, I don't mind buying. In fact, one of my guys, I saw a pretty cool new tool that it's really interesting. It's kind of a wrench that slips over the hinge and it allows you to tweak a hinge on a steel door so you can align a steel door. If you have industrial properties, that this can happen. What people will do is they'll take a steel door, somebody will open it up, and then they'll stick a screwdriver in the jamb to hold the door open. Well, that's a terrible stop for a door, because when the door starts to close, there's so much pressure, there's so much leverage when somebody pushes on that door and there's a screwdriver inside the hinge, it F's the whole door up. But this little tool that I saw actually corrects that and fixes that. And I copied, in fact, I do have it. I'm not going to try to dig for it, take too long. But I'll show it to you guys tomorrow or something. But so I took a snapshot of it and I texted it to the guy that works for me. I said, hey, order this thing, I'll pay for it. And then the next day he goes, look, and he had both the wrenches and both the tools. And I go, oh, you saw it? He goes, no. He goes, I already bought it. He said, I bought it a week ago. So in other words, I said, yeah, great minds think alike. And so when you know how to fix stuff, it's a wonderful thing. And those of you that don't know how to fix stuff, don't worry about it. It's better to know how to have some hand skills to be able to do things. And you'll actually get it. The more property that you own, the more people that you hire to do things, it'll open up what your capacities are. Even though you can't do it, you can see how it's done. You'll know what a good job is, and then you can hire. You'll be able to discern a guy that knows what he's doing and not know what he's doing, and you'll make better decisions hiring people. Yeah, I'll take a call. Come on, Dimitri. Yeah, there's the number. Anybody wants to call in? There's a number right there. There's a number. And by the way, get in the webinar. I got a free webinar, and it's going to be the last one for a while. This Thursday at 7 p.m. Stop sitting on the fence. Don't fall into that paralysis by analysis. People that do that get nowhere. 10 years goes by, the house you're renting or the only house you own, it becomes the only asset. The hundreds of thousands of dollars that you save becomes worth less and less and less because you're not putting it in an investment that keeps and accelerates beyond, inflation. All right, we got a call. I guess this might be Ironwood. Let's see what he has to say here. All right, this is Tom. Who's calling?
Hey, Tom, this is Dimitri calling.
Okay, is that Ironwood Land or somebody else?
No. This is Dimitri Van Camp.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. I saw you, Dimitri. So, Dimitri, where are you from?
Hi.
What are you interested in?
So, I'm from Belgium, and I do vacant land in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I do about. I've done about 400 deals. A lot of them used to be assignments, and now I just close on the deals, look for title problems, and close on them, list them on the market, and try to make as much as possible.
Right.
I do have a specific technical question, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
I used to buy a lot of land.
Yeah,
I used to buy a lot of land, and there's so much fraud in land. And I don't know if you bought any swamp property in Florida. There's so much of that shit, and people buy it and flip it, and that. I don't know if you do that, and I hope you don't.
No,
I hope you don't.
No. I do my due diligence. If I close on it, I always get like a survey, and I do an environmental inspection and all of that. And I try to stay away from the cheap land, like the $10,000 lots. There's no money in it.
Sure.
So I focus on the lots that are like in better areas or duplex lots and stuff like that.
And you've burned through 400 properties, 400 pieces of land.
Yeah, probably closer to 500 now.
And how many decades? How many decades did it take to do that?
No, 5, 6 years. It's all I do, and I work very hard, and I call about 200-300 owners every week. So.
Right. Still that, in 5 years, that's 1,500 days. That means you're buying a piece of property every 3 days. I find that hard to believe, to be quite honest.
That's okay. I mean, there used to be a period in right after the pandemic when there was sort of like an imbalance where people thought their land was still worthless, but the builders were building, and like literally everyone you would call, they would sell it for $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, and you could flip it and assign it to the builders for, $6,000 or $8,000 more because they were worth 20, 25.
Sure.
So there was this period where you could just do like literally in Lehigh Acres in Southwest Florida, there was a period where you could do like a piece of land. If you would cold call people who were two or 3 years tax delinquent, and you would cold call for a full day, you would almost always have a deal. If not on the spot, you would follow up with them a week or two later, and then you would always have a deal from that. So there was a period where you could do a lot more volume. Now it's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder on the acquisition and a little bit more difficult on the disposition right now because land is a little bit less hot now. So I'm doing way fewer deals. I'm now doing like only 3-4 deals a month, but I look for lots that are worth like, at least 50 to 100,000. And then the owner has died, tax delinquent, and then I pay for the probate for the heirs, and the probate attorney gets paid out of the HUD when I close on it. So that way I also have no risk. But there's one specific deal where it took a while for us to get a death certificate for one of the people who was in the chain of passing away, and we have it right now. So we're about to start the probate. And it took a lot of work because we needed like 5 different death certificates, and I got it signed for $13,000 to the heirs, and it's worth $65,000. So there's a spread there. But the problem is now the tax deed application has started, and in about 8 weeks from now, it's going to be sold at auction. And so my question is really: is there a way to sort of like stop the sale? I mean, I could just pay the taxes, of course. But I'm looking for a way to not have to do that. So is there a way to sort of stop the county and tell them, like, hey, you...
Yeah, I mean,
because the owners are dead on title, so...
There is. I mean, I don't know if my students might be upset if I share it with the YouTube, but I think you just need to create a cloud on the title. You can just create a cloud.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to go any deeper than that, but you create a cloud, it'll ball things up. So you've been, why did you have to go through 5, you got 5 probates? Is that what you said? Or 1 probate?
No. 5 death certificates. There's 2 probates that need to be done, and there's 5 death certificates that we needed because they were the original owners, and then in the heirs there was one person who passed away, and he had also siblings, also kids, and one of them also passed away. So we needed 4 or 5 death certificates, but one of them was hard to find. And so now we have all the death certificates, so the probate attorney is getting started.
Yep.
But I don't know if, I was thinking of if there was a way to maybe file a restraining order with the clerk of court.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never done that before.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't like doing it, but I have filed TROs. I don't know if you could make the case to do it there, but you could create a cloud another way. And I don't want to say exactly how, but you could. You sound like smart enough. You could figure it out. But I appreciate what you're saying. I've had that happen.
Yeah.
I've had a property one time. I bought a property, and it wasn't in probate, but what happened was the person became incompetent with their accounts, and I mean, I bought it from 4 sisters that hated each other, and one sister was dead, so I had a similar problem with having to get a death certificate. So I know, I understand things can get complicated, but what I will say to your credit, Dimitri, is this is what real estate investing is sometimes you jump through a lot of hoops, and it's worth it. Okay, it's worth it. Okay, that the deal I was describing, I made $2 million on, but the thing is, sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes you get in things you go, just screw it. By the time I waste screwing around with this, I could do 5 better deals. You know what I mean? So sometimes what I always tell everybody is don't get hung up on one deal. You're working and you're trying to make something happen. That's great. You're making some progress, but don't drop everything. You still have to continue to work and look and, Bird Dog, which by the way, there's an app, Bird Dog Pro. People watching, go get an app, get the app called Bird Dog Pro. You can get it on Apple and Android, and you can take that and you can share your properties, and you don't have to share it with, publicly. You can share it to people individually or however you want to. It's a wonderful app. It's just starting to get some wheels and going. So I'd urge you to take a look at that too. But yeah, and anybody else want to call in? I'm going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon. But yeah, Dimitri, I appreciate you, tuning into the channel, and I like your comments. And and like I say, I'm a math guy. So when somebody says 500 deals 3 years, I'm going, wait a minute, that's like every 3.5 days. And I
understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I've been on a bunch of podcasts and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore now. I'm just focused on doing the business. But I'm not really big on social media and everything, but I've done a lot of business but a lot of them were like small quarter acres and stuff like that. But
sure, no, and I understand, and I'll show you something on the screen because he's talking about land. There are what we call land companies, by the way, and they're not the most reputable of people. The type of stuff that goes on, and I've sold land to these guys, And so like I'm pulling up the desert right now, and there's desert. Look at all this desert land. This is California. There is so much land. And desert land is kind of like Florida swampland, a little better. It's a little better than that. But there's desert land out here, and you guys can see the roads. You can see the squares. These are sections and then quarter sections. And anyways, but this stuff gets, they'll buy up pieces of land. They'll buy up many pieces of land, and then they'll put a land company. Will go together. They'll go over to Hawaii or the Philippines, and they'll get everybody hyped up about, there's this huge opportunity that's going on out in California or in Florida, and then they get the people that hot on it, excited about it, and then they get them so excited about it, they tell them it's good for your friends, it's good for your family, and then they start selling this shit to their friends and family, and then they make 20% on it, so they're happy. They don't feel like they feel like they're just helping them, and they're a lucrative spot for them. But what they don't realize is they're selling these people a bunch of garbage, and it was a heartbreaking story.
Well, Tom,
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say, so a short anecdote with that. So I've bought about 20, 30 pieces of land from people who owned it. It was called the American Estate Company, and they bought it in their IRA, but then that IRA company would not pay the taxes. So if you would cold call those people and say you want to sell, they almost always wanted to sell, and it was like a massive source of deals for me at one point. Dozens of deals in a few months, because all those people, they just wanted to sell, and the mailing address was actually the IRA company, so they were not getting direct mail from other people. So I skip traced all of them individually, cold called them, and so every time in every tax delinquent list, there's some pockets you can find. And suddenly you get like 5 deals or 10 deals from that by exploiting that, and then it disappears, and then you go on to the next thing. So also,
very interesting. I appreciate your innovation, and I totally understand. And it's funny. I'm looking at borax. This is borax where they pull soap out of the ground out in the desert. But back like in the 20s or 30s, this is how cheap desert land was. I think it was L.A. Times, Los Angeles Times. They would actually, the Herald, L.A. Herald, I think is what it was called. So I'm showing you an area in Lancaster, California, and I think it's over here where some of these buildings are, but they have what they called the Herald lots, the Herald, Herald, like the Herald Times. And they would actually give you a piece of land with a 2-year subscription of their magazine. That's how cheap the shit was back then. And the lots were not great. They were like 25 by 50. You couldn't build anything. You needed multiple lots. to have enough lots that you could build something on. But guys like you're talking about, they went out there and they just started collecting up lots that were contiguous till they had, they get them for peanuts. They say, well, look, you got it for a land or a paper subscription, and then so they'd buy them for peanuts. And that's the thing. A lot of people realize that, but there's economies of scale. Well, there's also you can have something so small that it's worthless. So when you buy what's adjacent, you own a block. Now that block is worth much, much more per foot than it would be if you had a quarter of the block. It's different. And it kind of works the reverse of like a lot of land. Like land in general, you can get a 5 acre piece or a 2.5 acre piece. It's not worth double, but it's usually worth 1.5 times what a 2.5 is. A 2.5 is worth 1.5 times what a 1.25 acre piece is. It just, there's other details. That's very broad brush I'm talking about, but that's not always the case. But like I say, these Herald lots, were worthless individually, but put them together, they were gold. And that's kind of like what you're describing with, So yeah, great stuff, Dimitri. I appreciate you calling in, and pretty amazing that you're wheeling and dealing in Florida and you're in Belgium. That's really cool.
Yeah, I did houses. Before that. I wholesaled about 100 houses before I started doing land, but land was way easier. That's why I completely only did land. And in Florida, there's endless streets with quarter acres that are worth like 40,000, 50,000. And
Can you not play the real estate?
Out of the country.
Do you play the real estate game in Belgium?
I did actually. I did originally, and we bought and sold about 25 houses in 18 months by getting a list from vacant houses. But then the government sued us because they said we were not paying people enough money for the houses, and they fined us actually. So we made, between me and two partners, we made a little bit over €1 million back then, which was a lot of money back then, but we almost got 100,000 in fines, and we paid 60% in taxes. So I stopped doing it. So it was not worth it.
It's like Reagan said, there's nothing more terrifying than the government knocking on your door and saying, hey, we're here to help.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
That's very true in Europe,
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So, and speaking on land, so I've got a map in front of me. For those of you guys just came in, please hit that subscribe button. You learn a lot. If you're interested in making money in real estate, get my webinar this Thursday. This is just no bullshit. I don't have time for bullshit, but if you want somebody that's really credible, because I know you guys out there, YouTube is a university of scum. It's a swamp. And there is so much garbage out there. It's hard for people to decipher what's good from bad. But you gotta dig a little deeper. You gotta ask questions. You gotta not be anybody's fool and dig. But these properties that I'm showing you right here, each one of these blue, dots that are on me, these represent probably 5 to 6 properties. I ended up buying about 70 lots in this area. I bought 20. That was when I was in my 20s at this time. And so Dimitri also these lots are small. These lots are only 5,000 square feet. On average, they were 50 feet, 50 by 100. But you could still build on them. That what complicated this property is, take a look here at the top of the page here. I'm going to show you something. You see this ridge up here? This is the San Andreas Fault. Okay. And so and you can kind of look, it almost kind of looks like a crack in a fissure, right? So what would happen is every property that I buy, they considered all this in a fault zone. So I would have to have a tractor dig a ditch 5 feet deep, the whole length of the lot, and then I'd have a geologist. I'd have a geologist come out, and he'd walk with his pad, and he'd look at both sides of the dirt, the trench, and hem and haw and write stuff down. And of course, all I want to hear is that there's no recent activity, and that there's not a scarp. If there's a scarp, you can't build on a scarp, because the house will shift. But as long as it's not, then you're good. I've had weird things happen. I dug a trench down the side of a hill, and I had water coming out of the top of the hill running down through the ditch. And it's like, can't buy this. High groundwater wouldn't work. It was a really strange one too. yeah. But anyways, it was a pretty interesting time. But I was building houses here. I was making about $50,000-$60,000 per house that I built. But I made 60 grand by flipping 3 lots, and I said I'm not building anymore. And so I went through 70 lots and made a lot of money, and way more than I would have done building in far less time. So I love land, and it's not something I'm new to. In fact, not far from this same area, I made $350,000 here on one piece of land in like 3 weeks. And another one out here, 165, or I made 130. I bought it for 30, sold for 165. Paid 140 for this one, sold it for 520. And these are the kinds of things that my students are now doing. And that's why I tell you, those of you that are here in the USA, look at Dimitri's making money in the USA from Belgium. It's a huge advantage when you're here. When you're here and you can see and look at the asset. And I'm not recommending that anybody buy. I don't like buying where I can't see and be. And I understand what you're doing with the land, and that is, it's an approach you can do. It's not for everybody, but you can make far more money on a per piece when you're near it and you can look at it. And especially when it's financeable, like houses, there's more houses than anything out there, in buildings, those things finance. So, there's a lot of opportunity. But I appreciate you calling in and sharing. That was some great stuff that you just shared. And those of you watching, listen, hit that subscribe button. Don't miss my channel. And get in the webinar, or just go to flipanythingusa.com. And you can schedule a call with me, or just sign up for the mentorship, and I'll send you a video, or you'll get a direct invite, and even some on off days. But it would just be unfortunate for somebody that's watching right now that has $50,000 to $500,000 in the bank, and you're not parlaying it. You're not. You just need to know a little bit. You just need a little bit of guidance. You could be investing that in your immediate area, and you can make $1 million in a year. It really is that simple. But you have to. I say simple. It's simpler than working your whole life for a wage, okay? Much easier than that. But, so, hey, again, Dimitri, I appreciate you calling. I got somebody else trying to get in now, too.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. So, folks, hey, don't forget this Thursday, 7 p.m., get in the webinar. Go to flipanythingusa.com. Take a look at the success stories. These are people making hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars in only a few short years that I've been teaching. And if you don't take a look, you're never going to know, okay? You're just never going to know. And because believe me, there's success pages that look like this, that look like mine, and there's zero success in them. So you got to click on these links and listen to these real people talk that actually have made money. Oh, God, let's see. How's the lake house? Lake house is good, actually. I'll be going out there again soon, I'm sure. Anyways, real quick, just cover my bases here, get the book, and get in the webinar, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Hey, Tom here. Look, wholesalers, flippers, investors, listen, you want to get good guidance. You want to build a portfolio. This is what it really looks like to be a successful real estate investor. Been doing it for 4.5 decades, have hundreds of thousands of square feet of rentals, have students that have become millionaires in as little as 2 years. Go to flipanythingusa.com. I'll show you how to do it. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, flipanythingusa.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face-to-face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years.